Hi there, it's John here. It's Monday night and I have a song to play for you. This week I had to get the words leftovers and guest into a song in the key of F sharp, and this is what I've come up with. Now today, on the 22nd of April, it is Earth Day. And Earth Day is a day that I've tried to mark and think about. And when I was a pastor, I used to lead services around the environment to mark Earth Day. It's something that I'm really passionate about as an environmentalist, and hopefully not one of these kind of, sit at my computer and post things on Facebook kind of protesters, but someone who, tries to live out that which I preach. And without this getting too preachy about food and everything, and food abundance and food distribution, I felt that I wanted to write a song about that, because leftovers for me just immediately made me think about food. So I'm going to make no apologies. I've written a song about food. Now it's either going to be called End Hunger Now, which is a little bit protesty, or Share the Fruit of the Earth, which is more in keeping with the heart of this song. This week, I've been away and been doing a lot of family stuff over the weekend, and tonight, I cooked a roast chicken dinner for 7 of us. I'm sure Esme would have had some if she could have done, but no, she's not even. She's on rusks and stuff, and chocolate eggs. She likes chocolate eggs. Anyway, but there you go. I'm always thinking about leftovers, particularly when children eat like a half of what you give to them. Anyway, that's another story. But yeah, it's always on my mind, because I really hate seeing food go to waste. In fact, I grew up in a household where if I didn't eat tea, I'd have it for breakfast the next morning, or so my mother and father threatened. It never happened, but in a sense, I was living in a world where Spam and blancmange, Angel Delight, all that great stuff was the food of the day. Fish fingers, that was a treat. Ready Brek, do you remember Ready Brek? Anyway, but they grew up in sort of post-war Britain really, and rationing only stopped kind of during their lifetime, and so food was always like, they would always tell me stories about beef dripping sandwiches and stuff like that, and all that sort of thing, and they would always sort of say how fortunate I am to have the food that I had. And now thinking back to my childhood, the food I have today is more abundant and more wonderful than ever, and I've got a lot to be thankful for. But food, it's part of our everyday lives, isn't it? I speak in this song, it's a bit, my partner said it was a little bit like an infomercial. I don't think she used those words, but it should be more like a public broadcast or a rap. And I said I wasn't going to do another rap. But there's nearly 8 billion people on the world, right? There's 7.65 billion people or something like that. And the staggering thing is, if you ask people, can farmers create enough food for everybody? And a lot of people would go, well, no, clearly not, because so many people go to bed hungry. And thankfully that number is coming down, but still it's a very, very high number. But you'd be surprised to know that farmers actually provide enough food to feed over 10 billion people. In fact, they make 1.5 times the amount of food in cereals and that sort of thing than we need. So there's this great kind of food inequality, and not just that, but the really staggering fact, and it's terrible really when you think about it, and something we can all do something about, is, and I say it in this song, between 30 and 40% of all the food that we buy in the West, or is produced for the West, is wasted, is thrown in the bin. And that is just a staggering fact. So leftovers is a real thing. So I do get the word leftovers into this song, and I get the word guest into this song. In fact, I use the guest in 2 different ways. One, that we're all guests on this earth, and another where, if you make too much food while you're cooking, invite over a guest. So that comes a bit later in the song. So I'm not sure if you've heard a song about food before. I mean, we've got the classic Feed the World, and I do use the word let us feed the world in this song. Not lifting it from, the great Band-Aid song. But I always think about that song, and I know it's like a huge hit and everything. I'm not going to slate it because it's a brilliant song on so many levels. But I always think it's a little bit blasé, don't you? Feed the world. Do they know it's Christmas time? Well, probably not. Anyway, without getting off on my big preachy soapbox, that's just us taking our Western kind of ideology and sort of throwing it at the rest of the world. So yeah, I did because I didn't want to sort of go that kind of route of trying to be patronising. I also didn't want to be too. I didn't want to be like have a comedy thing going on. Now, my first idea for this was like it was like a big brass band kind of don't throw your food away, dum bum, but save it for another day. Because I thought leftovers was quite a funny word to have in a song, so I thought I'd write a funny song. But the more I read about it, the more I thought, no, it needs to be a bit more serious. So I've written a fairly serious song about food, and this is what it's going to sound like, so I'm going to play it for you right now. So, sermon over, onto the song. See what you think. Live in a world of abundance. Our farmers can feed everyone. Yet a third of the food we produce every year ends up wasted while so many starve. 8 billion live on the earth today. Our farmers can feed over 10. Yet so many people are hungry tonight. We must care and do something for them. Share the fruit of the earth. Where there is much, give it away. We're all guests on the earth, so let's make hunger a thing of the past. Let us feed the world. Let us feed the world. Whilst over a half have too much on their plate, growing fat as they overindulge, the other half has far too little, malnourished, weak, in bad health. Perhaps if we meet in the middle, everyone would be just fine. Healthier, able to live, or share in the bountiful feast. Share the fruit of the earth. Where there is much, give it away. We're all guests on the earth, though let's make hunger a thing of the past. Let us feed the world. Let us feed the world. Leftovers account for a third of the waste. In the West we throw out too much, so don't buy so much to start off with, or learn to reuse and preserve. If you make too much whilst you're cooking, make a place and invite round a guest. We must share what the good earth provides us. Come, let everyone share the harvest. You share the fruit of the earth. Where there is much, give it away. We're all guests on the earth. Now let's make hunger a thing of the past. Let us feed the world. Let us feed the world. So there you go. That is the song "Share the Fruit of the Earth" or "End Hunger Now," and I hope you liked it. I'd say probably 75% of the way there. I think there's a few tweaks to do. I'll sleep on it tonight and try and get a recording done tomorrow, and hopefully release it on Wednesday if I can. But it's been a long Easter weekend, and it's good to take time out for family and try and put them first, and sometimes just let the songwriting and the other projects just sit on the back seat for a bit. And I've been thinking about the song and trying to craft some lyrics without it feeling too preachy or a bit odd for a song. I mean, you don't really hear the word leftovers in a song, do you? Or statistics, such as the ones I've given in this song. Or talk about cooking. I don't know if I've heard a song about cooking recently, but I've written one. And the beautiful thing about writing 52 songs in a year is that you don't have to write everything into one song. You can just kind of lay it out and relax a little and not worry too much if one week you write a song a little bit like this, because I'm not going to say I'm in love with the song, but I do think it's got something to say, and it might say it in a way that is unlike other songs, but who wants to write songs like everyone else? I don't. So there you go. I'm forging away. Now, I'm not sure about the chorus yet. I mean, I only really sat down in the last hour and a half. Hour and a half. So I haven't really had long to set this to music. So I'm going to have a good tweak of it, I think. And it might sound completely different in the recording, but at least I've got the idea out. And I really wanted to share this on Earth Day because, again, it's a really special day for me. Because the earth is precious. It's a treasure to look after, and it looks after us. Mother Earth provides for everybody, and it's just our infrastructure and our roads and cooling systems, and the fact that the world doesn't really have good refrigeration in places where hunger is prevalent, even though ironically so many of the people that go hungry live in areas which produces tons of food that is then exported, and a lot of that is about the injustice of the system in the first place. So there's lots to think about. No one needs to go hungry tonight. There's more than enough food for everybody. We could probably feed the 700 million people that are really hungry and starving just with our leftovers. And that is really horrible to think about. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for listening this far. And I hope you have a good evening. I'll try and get this recording out really soon, as I said, and then get on to the next challenge. But there you go, a song about leftovers and guests. And I'm not sure if it's any good, but it's what I've written this week. So there you go. Okay, good night, everyone. Bye.